While we're waiting, Judy, could I ask you a question?
Sure.
Is there going to be any inclusion of sort of in light of COVID? Are you doing anything with this report that would reflect that we're in a different situation now?
Actually, in a lot of the stuff that Patrick submitted in and some of our recommendations, we're talking about different ways of doing programming.
Right.
Not just because of COVID. We chose not to focus on COVID,
Okay.
but on just evolving trends.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about different ways of doing programming, some online and other ways of doing things, but not focusing on COVID because there are many reasons to look at those issues.
Oh, okay.
And some of those recommendations are in already. They're in the report already.
Yeah. I guess I was thinking that it might make sense to actually talk about COVID.
Well, this report's like going to last for a while, and COVID is one big pandemic thing right now. God forbid there could be something else, or like we didn't want COVID to be a topic in and of itself because COVID is one reason why to look at different delivery methods for parks and recreation programming and services to start with.
Okay.
And it's as part of the inclusive theme that we have.
Yeah.
We need to look at different methods of delivery just for that. So I think being inclusive is handling the COVID issue.
Okay. It was just an observation. I was just a little surprised that it was not in there.
Yeah, in planning circles, there's been a lot of talk and a lot of debate about, addressing COVID in comprehensive plans like the comprehensive plans for land use and looking at different things going forward.
Okay.
And by looking at things more inclusive, you're reaching out to all different segments of the population, whether they're constricted to home or movement or other things anyway. So it's been a conscious decision to treat it as part of the whole.
Okay. Fair enough. I was just curious about it.
Yeah, it's a valid question. It's one that it's been discussed in planning circles a lot.
I can imagine because it sort of changes everything. And I don't know that, quote unquote, if we go back to normal, that happy saying that people like to say, that it's going to actually go back to normal.
Now, I've been hearing, and again, in planning circles, it's like the new abnormal. There's nothing normal about it.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, and Karen can chime in too. I know in Park and Rec, she's more tuned into the Park and Rec, the strict Park and Rec stuff. But has that been mirroring what I'm hearing in the general planning circles, Karen, about treating things when you're going inclusive, you're dealing with the COVID issue also?
It's a little bit of a yes and no. And to Ann's point, that's one of the notes that I have written down. I wrote it under COVID, but I think my intent would be more one of being aware and prepared for future public needs, whether we call it COVID. It might be COVID this year, but 3 years from now, God forbid, it might be something else. And I don't, rather than go by name or a particular issue, I think it's more about public health awareness and management. And one of the things I'm seeing, and Patrick, you might be seeing this on NRPA a lot right now, is the discussions about facility space and the ability to participate in the needs of the community, whether it's being able to work with kids on virtual school and having the connectivity and the what you need in your facilities to be able to jump into different management scenarios and service scenarios as may be needed going forward with what I right now I'm just calling the unknown, because I think it is the new abnormal and we don't know what. Hopefully there won't be anything next. But I think the reality of just putting blinders on and not assuming that at some point we might have alternate needs for our recreational space or incorporating needs into recreational awareness should be included a little bit, maybe not over, where we get all deep into it, but I think at some level it's a little bit more than just being inclusive.
Did you look at the one of the general recommendations on page 52? It's number 11. Provide more unique recreation opportunities in unique ways.
I did read them all. I can't see that I have it all memorized at this point, but I did read everything.
Do you want to turn to page 52 just quickly? Just, I mean, this is a good discussion.
About that, I'm rereading and I'm on page 51, so let me turn the page.
I'm
Good
sorry,
morning,
what number was it?
Number 11 on page 52.
Oh, 11. Yep. I'm with you. Okay.
Who are we missing? Are we missing?
Kathy.
Okay, let me,
Yeah, Bob's doing virtual
Yeah, I knew
school with
that.
his grandchildren, so I'm not sure he will be joining us.
I'm calling Kathy to see if she's,
Yeah, I've got the participant window open and it doesn't look like she
hey,
wants to be
Kathy,
admitted yet.
are you gonna jump in on the meeting?
Mhm.
So Judy, on this number 11, people are moving away
Okay.
from gathering in large groups to recreate. That was your response basically to this situation, or just generally? I mean,
We're not dealing with just COVID-19. You have to read the whole recommendation together, not just the one sentence.
yeah, I did.
Even before COVID-19, there was a push toward not doing mass group
That's what I was asking.
Things.
Right.
and looking at treating different groups and populations and abilities on their own level and providing experiences for people of all needs, abilities, mobility, non-ambulatory, everything. So this fit into all of it. It wasn't just COVID-19.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it will be prepare and provide.
And
Yeah, I mean, while it can fit in there, I understand what Ann's saying, and I understand that I don't want to get into just COVID either, because hopefully by the time, a year from now, we won't be thinking of COVID, and I don't want to even think about what the next name of something would be, but,
well, and this was in the facility, this was in the actual park and facilities section. In the recreation section, there is another part in there too. Hang on. Let me just get to that.
I was just asking if there was going to be a direct thing about COVID. It was just a discussion.
yeah.
You don't have to document every line.
Well, no, I just wanted to bring them up. It's part of the discussion so you can see where it was and if that meets the group's needs.
I think, Ann, this would be one of those things where we need, if we have a situation in the future, whatever it is and whatever it's called, we need to be able to open our book and point to the book where that might fit in, so that we can actively and intentionally address needs of our community, both through facility management and program management.
Okay. Yeah.
Does that
Judy,
make
I
sense?
think
So that we,
It does. And of course, everybody's hopeful that we get a vaccine, but I was reminded and set back on my heels a little bit that we've never gotten an AIDS vaccine, for instance,
Right.
and they've been working on that for about 35 years. So yes, well, hopefully everybody's going to be, we're going to get there, but it's possible that this is where we're at and we just get treatments.
And that example right there, and is why I don't think you specifically referenced COVID in this. I agree with Karen. It should be just generalized that, those type of incidents or circumstances can be should be generalized in a plan, not specific. We wouldn't want, we didn't put AIDS specific language in any of the documents 25 years ago when AIDS was prevalent, when AIDS was at the forethought like COVID is today. So I agree with Karen on that. It should just be.
I mean, I'd be okay to address, public health, public emergency, and how parks and programming and facilities can fit in. And that we need to think of that as we look at trends in programming and design and functionality of facilities, just like we did this building, that could be an emergency shelter.
Just as an aside,
Jen's shaking her head no.
No, I have to apologize because there's some construction work getting done in the background, so I'm trying to mute myself, but so you might hear some really obnoxious noises if I have to talk. But talking about the specificity of COVID-19, there is some verbiage in this report that goes to the opioid epidemic. And as serious as that is, but I think it kind of, it's very specific, and we see a lot of issues with death by suicide increasing, and there's so many other health issues that I was maybe a more generic mention of health concerns be put in there instead of specific.
Yeah.
I mean, our true mandate is health, safety, and wellness, health, safety, and welfare. So I think if we talk about public health, public wellness, I think we can encapsulate what we need to do and where we're going in those headings. I just don't think, I would like to include somehow the value of how we in Park and Recreation are contributors to public health and wellness, which was seen very definitively through the COVID exercise when parks were all people had.
And Jen, that's a point well taken. Patrick, it was a very good recommendation that he has on page 77, number 9, the one regarding the opioid crisis. And I think that that can easily be broadened to be the health and wellness. And then also one of the ones that Patrick had was number 7 on that same page, which is sort of broadening the base and looking more at virtual programming and thinking outside the box again, and bringing up STEM issues as part of that virtual. So I think those two hand in hand, we can definitely work on making 9 more inclusive.
Yeah, we can make it more general for a public health standpoint as a whole instead of specifically the opioid crisis. That way it covers everything.
Okay.
Bill, you've got multiple hats on these days. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Knowing that I know it's not a complete update, a full-blown rewrite per se, but it's certainly an update to the original plan. But they have a life that lasts longer than a year or two. So,
Right.
2 years from now, 3 years from now, who knows what the, God forbid, a pandemic is we're facing then. We don't want to be, it needs to be generalized.
Let's hope nothing,
Yeah.
but obviously Park and Rec has proven itself the ability to step into public health, public
Absolutely. Yeah. It's
preparedness, public emergency management and preparedness.
Yeah, and that's where you
A
want
little
to.
different than code, but certainly we've had to navigate that.
Yeah, it certainly
Of
needs
course.
to be broad enough that Park and Rec crosses over all aspects of people's lives in various capacities. So you don't want to. It
There's
just
an
needs
introductory
to
line
have
for
a
you, Judy.
generalized, a statement like that Judy pointed out as well. That way, it's not an outdated plan 2 years from now.
We want it to be relevant for quite a long time.
Right.
Exactly right, and it needs the flexibility to be able to continue to be a planning document, because you don't want it to be outdated that a month after it gets adopted or whatever. If that makes sense.
Yes.
All right, well, this was a good just overall discussion, and I thank you for bringing that comment up. But I'm going to come back to Karen to see how you want to go through the meeting today. If you have a preference on how you'd like to go through this.
I know we've asked everybody to prepare their comments and their thoughts, and we've provided some additional time. I think everybody that wanted a hard copy has a hard copy. I think probably the easiest way would be initially, so we don't get lost in our joint conversation up front, is to let everybody go through their comments and then maybe do a summary, a wrap up at the end. And then Judy, anything you need, I've got the information I received from Chris today, and we can follow up with that after the meeting. And but I want everybody to have their opportunity to share their thoughts.
Okay. Do you want to go
What's
through
the end time for this, for our meeting today? Is it an hour, hour and a half?
I think by the nature of what we're doing, it'll probably run a little bit more than an hour, but I'd like to see if we can hold it to an hour and a half.
I'm going to have to leave at 12. I didn't realize we weren't starting till 11, but I've only got till 12.
All right, let's set 12 as a goal and we'll see what happens. We'll make sure that we get through as much as we can by 12, at least the bulk of it, okay?
Okay.
With that being said, do you want to go through chapter by chapter and each person chime in on their chapter issues, Karen, or do you
We
want?
can do that. That's fine by me. That way we'll at least we'll guaranteed to get through the document.
Okay, so
Oh, okay.
chapter 1 is the plan overview.
I had previously submitted some general, edits and stuff that prior to our last meeting. I personally didn't see anything other than the high level stuff about the turf field and turf and Turk and securing that in a long-term lease. Those are the glaring things to me that popped out of the.
I have that in my notes too, when we get to, I don't think it's chapter, well, about the parkland needs. I would like to see that broken down into 3 sections. I would like to see what the township actually owns, and what that is per acre, or per thousand. The leased land, which is always susceptible to loss, hopefully not. And then how that totals out. And as Bill said, I'd like to see a recommendation that if it's possible and feasible somewhere down the line, that Turk, the option for Turk to become a true township park, be considered and achieved if at all possible.
Okay, so that the needs analysis was in chapter 3, and we did break the least out on that. We can look at that chart together when we get
Yeah,
to
I'm
chapter
looking at-
3.
I'm looking at page 24.
Oh, we're not in chapter 1?
No, I don't know.
Karen, just chapter.
Oh, Yep, I have short chapters. You're right. We'll do that when we get there.
Okay. All right, so chapter 1 was the plan overview. Does anyone have comments on chapter 1?
I do not.
No.
Page 5, Judy.
It's page 5 is chapter 2. Go ahead.
And you tell me, these are clerical points, so we can do that later. We can do that now. The Performing Arts Council is at this point defunct.
Where are you on page 5?
Appointed officials, page 5. Up the
Okay.
One, two.
Um,
The Joint Performing Arts is
is sunsetted at the moment.
so they just had, it's the only joint is the Bike and Hike Committee?
Bike hike and the that's the dog park advisory board is not on there.
Okay, so, and a dog park
It does have joint representation.
advisory board. Okay.
I should have caught that.
Do we have the Shade Tree Commission still too?
Yeah, the
Yes, it's part of
is the Shade Tree
EAC.
Commission.
It's part of the EAC.
Yeah,
Should
the
we put
EAC is,
EAC Shade Tree
It's the
Commission, or-
EAC Shade Tree Commission.
it's called, they changed the name because on the website it didn't have that. Is that what they were calling it now, though?
Yeah, I mean, they've always been the Shade Tree. They are the Shade Tree Commission. They handle
Right, I'm
that
just
as
going by
well.
the website. It didn't say that. Do you want me to add Shade Tree in?
Yes, I
Okay.
mean, that's up to you guys, but it's
you
what
wanna
it
say-
is.
Is it Environmental Advisory Council / Shade Tree Commission?
I
or-
believe
Yeah, it's
so.
Got
That's
it.
what-
It's broken out in that appointed officials as a Shade Tree Commission and an Environmental Advisory Council, but it's kind of both.
Yeah, so I'll just do environmental advisory / Shade Tree.
Right. Judy, we can come back later. I've got the order for the acknowledgements as well.
I'm sorry, Karen, I didn't hear that.
The order for acknowledgements, but we can come back to that.
Okay. All right, was there anything, so there was nothing in chapter 1. We're in chapter 2 now.
A second.
Let me just note the acknowledgements will come from Karen.
Wait, where are we? What page is chapter 2 start on? What's page 12? Page 12 is 2.
Page 12 is chapter 2. Go ahead.
So I know we're talking about the sports forum, but not everything fell out of the sports forum that I hear about all the time. So some of the things I hear about are, maybe there's another place to go with this. I get cricket a lot.
Cricket didn't come from the sports forum at all, though.
Okay, then
So
we'll come back. We'll find the place for that.
Cricket didn't come from the sports forum or
That's
any
fine.
of the interviews, Karen.
That's fine, but but I don't want to, I don't want to exclude what we get regular calls on or requests for should still be included, I think. It's
Oh, that'd be fine. I just had no way of knowing that you're getting calls on Cricket. I actually know how to
all
play
the time.
cricket.
It's like the old airplane calls. It only takes up this little bit of space, but then we have to fly 100 times that space. So they only need a little bit of pitch, but they need a lot of land around it.
Yeah. All right. Anything else in chapter 2? That goes to page 14, just for those of you that are on page
Thank
numbers.
you. I did it by page number, so yeah, I'm lost here.
Yeah.
It's
So,
page
I-
14. Go ahead.
I have a few notes. On page 8, in the paragraph underneath table 3, it references 2 milestones occurred in 2006, but this update doesn't include a 2006 information. So I was thinking we might want to either change that to be more in the years that we're covering or get rid of it. Also, the average life expectancy is kind of changed since then based on what the CDC has. So I don't know if we want to update it. It's not women, it's women are dying a year earlier and men are dying 2 years earlier, unfortunately.
Oh, we'll update that. That was a chapter that was not updated from before, but we can update that with the new information.
That's a
Thank you,
good-
Jen.
And
I actually had 2006 highlighted.
okay. I also have on page 10, under race, it says people of color represent 2.4% of the population, but that was only the African Americans alone. That didn't include American Indian, Asian, and other people of color. So I think that needs to be changed to, I think it was 6.6% if my math was right, for people of color.
Good catch.
It's a very
And
good-
that statistic actually is, I know in the next census, they're going to not do that because it's more of a blended population and they're looking at wording for how to look at the statistics once they get them and how to combine them. So that term and what components go into it is drastically changing, as is the population.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was interesting because I was going about it in my head, like what would be the definition of people of color? It's pretty much non-white. So anything that's not the 93.4%
Right.
would fall into that category. And then on page 11, I was just wondering if we could reword that first sentence because it's a bit confusing. I think it says about 43% of renters pay 35% or more of their income in rent, which is slightly higher than the country's rate of 42%. So when it's saying 42%, it could be confusing as to whether it's 42% of their income or 42% of the renters. So if we
It's
just add the
40 it's
words
42% of
renters at
their
the
income.
end.
Yeah.
Okay, can we add that, Judy?
Yeah.
Well, if it's 42% of the
No.
income, isn't that, because it says that
Backwards then, yeah.
No,
Can we
it's,
I just want
it's
to
a
clarify.
renters.
I agree with Jen.
no, it's 42% of the population in the country pays more than 35% of their income in rent.
Yeah, it's not good.
Okay.
I'll reword that to make it clear.
Just a little bit clearer, but let me see if I have it. I think that's all I have in notes for that section.
Okay. Anyone else on chapter 2?
Good morning, everybody.
Kathy?
I'm kind of confused on page numbers. I don't have a hard copy. And this is a silly one, but it's under the sports forum. Remove gravel pile and Turk 3, that's gone. So that can be removed.
Well, actually but it came up from the sports forum.
Oh, so it has to stay. Got it.
Well,
I
I'm
got it.
just-
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking otherwise. Okay,
Once it's adopted, we can check that one right off.
got it. My fault.
And Kathy, just to help you with page numbers, the PDF itself has page numbers down here. So they're the page numbers we're going from. They're the ones that are on the hard.
Got it.
Okay. Just to
Caught on to
give you the
that.
translation.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. So chapter 2 goes up through page, let's see, 16.
Mhm.
Does anyone have anything else between pages 4 and 16?
I do not.
You know,
Okay. And then Stephanie, are there more than 9 people on the call, or is 9 total?
9,
Oh,
myself.
good.
Yeah,
So I
9.
can look at the one screen and I see it. All right.
Yeah,
Just
you're
making
seeing
sure.
everybody. Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to lose somebody on the next screen.
Just double checking. I'm like, yeah, I know, I've got 9. Okay. we're
Okay.
good.
All right, chapter 3, we start getting into a lot more information. That starts on page 17. And it goes from page 17 to 52. Let me make sure. 52. So who wants to start with comments on chapter 3?
Judy, right at the beginning of the introduction, the second sentence was a little, it was something I submitted to you before the last meeting, but I don't know if you've updated yet, but that second sentence, as more land been developed, there's some
Has been
wording issue
developed.
there.
Yeah, that's a typo. That's a has been.
Yeah, okay, just, I didn't know if you.
Yeah, that was one of yours that I actually marked already, Bill. But
Okay.
thank you.
All right,
feel
then
free to-
then I don't have any other comments, assuming you got to the ones previously submitted.
Mhm.
page 22, Judy,
Yeah, let me just move to it.
you ready?
Page 22.
Amount of parkland.
Yes.
The lease has been completed. The lease is combined Turk 1, 2, and 3 for 25 years. It was completed in 2019.
Oh. So it starts, wait, so in 2019, lease or Turk 1, 2, and 3. It was extended for another 25?
Yep.
It's 425. Is that correct, Stephanie?
Mhm.
So we're already below the grant.
Wait. It's for 2025 or it's 25
for-
years from,
It's
25
25 years
years
from
from last year.
2019.
okay.
So I think, somewhere the recommendation should be to, if we can, that's the best, as I understand it, Stephanie, that's what
Best you're gonna get at this point in time.
at this point in time. So certainly whether we can extend that a little bit in the future, because DCNR does look for 25 years and now we're at 24. I don't think that's going to hurt us right now, but if we can extend that to a longer lease at some point in time, that would behoove us.
And there's also other grants from other
Yes,
state
there are.
agencies that don't require the 25. I'm hearing DCED is being a little less stringent on that. So
Yes.
we can talk
Yeah.
about the DCED GRT grants,
Right.
which also have a better match.
Yes, it's true. There are other grant opportunities. However, as we move forward and continue to look for DCNR, we want to be aware that that's one of the key points that they look for.
Yeah, this lease goes from January 1, 2020. It was approved at the end of 19 and goes through December 31st to 2045.
31, 2045.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Steph.
2045. Yep.
Thank you.
Looked it up. Mhm.
All right.
Okay.
Steph, you probably know this. What's going to happen to Triangle Park when they put the traffic circles in?
It will stay. It'll probably be somewhat modified, but the bike trail will remain and everything. And the park itself will remain.
Okay. Is it going to be in the middle of a traffic circle?
No,
Oh, no. It's
no, it would remain, their traffic circles will be on either side.
Okay.
It kind of look like the base of the
this was-
triangles being New Britain Road. It's on either of those two corners,
Mm-hmm.
or each of those two
Yeah, I
corners.
think the
should say.
traffic circles are going to be smaller than you think, Anne. I think they're smaller than what you're picturing in your head. They're not massive, pretty small.
Okay.
They like the Quakertown ones.
Don't get too far
I
off.
don't.
Yeah.
wanna get,
Don't worry about it. I mean,
Okay.
it'll happen. Park
Just a
will
quick
remain.
question, just a quick
Okay, so-
question.
Yeah.
So,
no, I know. We
Judy,
could talk circles
uh,
for hours.
I see, Central Park, which I think is a really neat example of requiring contiguous land, is gone from 108 acres initially to 155.65.
Right?
There's a couple places, I've been trying to go back and find, there's a couple places moving forward in the document where the numbers are not matching up. So we're just consistency for Central Park going through. And I'll try to call them out when we get there.
Central Park acreage, 155.65 throughout.
Um,
I can easily do the word search and find all the references and make sure
There you
that they're
go.
consistent.
Okay. That on 23, NRPA has promoted, that's an old word from our prior consultant. I did follow up with NRPA, and the magic word for promoted should be endorsed.
Got it?
Well, that's just semantics. It was just one of those.
It's important. Got it.
Okay.
And then on the chart on page 24 breaks out the difference between leased and owned.
Yes. So this is where, and Steph, you and I talked to you about this. I would like to see it in 3 different ways. I would like to see where we stand with just owned land by the township, since leased land, well,
Which is page 25.
I don't anticipate it going anywhere. Somehow I think we need to address that the leased land, especially Turk, which is county owned and quite frankly buildable, if the county should choose to do that. Where does that put us if we were to lose any of our leased land?
That's on page 25, Karen.
As I was reading this, it just was.
On 25 is the permanently
Okay.
protected lands.
One question I had, what is the status, ownership, what have you, with the fields on the corner of Upper State and Holmes House?
That's private. That's owned by the Chalfont New Britain Joint Sewer Authority, and they lease it to one of the athletic clubs.
Yeah, Rush, Lenape Valley.
Does that,
And
Dutch
Bill, based
would-
on your comments, we're going to include that on the private recreation.
okay, I didn't, because it was silent originally, so I didn't know. It's at least for worth discussion. I know it could go at any time and it's not available, kind of like Turk, but it probably should be at least referenced as an opportunity, because it's meeting a need for soccer in the community. So the argument could be there that it's not because it's being met by private groups, doesn't necessarily fall on the township to become a responsibility to provide more soccer fields when it's available there. And because it's owned by a water and sewer authority, it's not going to go away. Technically you could probably terminate the lease, but they're not going to use it for any other purposes besides
Water and sewer.
right. But there's plenty of space there for them to expand. I don't know how much impact it would be on the soccer fields. Is all my reference. I just think it needs to be included as a resource for soccer.
And we're going to add that in the private recreation. That was a good comment you had before. I drive by those fields all the time. I've, gone to watch friends' kids play games there. I don't know why that didn't make it in. That was my omission, because I know
I
it's
didn't
there.
know that's why I brought it up. I didn't know if it was because oh, my lights went out. I don't know if it meant was excluded purposely because it was owned by the authority. But it is meeting a soccer need and should be recognized.
Yeah. And Karen, just to address the comment that you were going, if the table on page 11 notes that there's 307.56 acres owned by the township in those categories.
Mhm.
And then you take that to page 12, which is the permanently protected. And it shows that 186.97 would be needed for today's population required acres. And the excess is 120.59. You add the 186.97, the 120.59, and that's the 307.56. We used that number for the permanently protected. We didn't include the leased.
Okay, I think it's spread out. I don't think it's clear in one place. Yeah, I'm looking at 25 and I'm guessing that, you told, the table in 25 includes Turk.
It doesn't. It only includes the
doesn't.
permanently protected, which is described in the
Okay.
text as not leased.
Okay,
I can say, I can put parentheses excluding leased lands.
perfect. I think it's important for awareness to know what we have and where we stand potentially. It's a long range plan, so we ought to know what
Yeah.
we may or may not be looking at. On page 24, Judy, under the it says Parkland needs table 12, and then there's the bullet point. Starts the 10.5 acre standard.
Mhm.
And it mentions some of the activities in there. And going back to what we talked about before, would this be a place to also include some of the other unique activities that we are getting requests for?
Sure, if you want to give me the list of the ones you're getting requests for.
Yep, cricket,
Cricket,
disc golf, ultimate
Cricket.
frisbee, which really hasn't gone away. That's been around for a while.
hang on, cricket, disc golf, ultimate frisbee,
Flag football.
All square sport, all rectangle sports can play.
All
on the turf.
rectangle sports, yeah.
Is cricket, I'm not even sure how cricket is.
It's a
played.
rectangle sport, as Bill just said.
Is it? I
Yeah.
mean,
You need a
I guess, Bill,
rectangle.
you know,
it is a
Yeah.
rectangle sport. It's a,
it's got that skinny little
Pitch.
bat
Paddle.
thingy, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
yes, it's like it looks like, feels like a paddle.
Yeah.
It vibrates in your hand when you hit the damn thing.
Deb, you're on mute, so we can't hear you. Sorry.
Me?
Looks like it's something to share.
No, I just said that it's not a skinny little stick. It's a pretty big paddle that you use.
Paddle.
The cricket bat is pretty big.
Okay.
And heavier
Deb's
than
gonna
you
lead
would
us in
think.
cricket.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, heavier than you would think.
And for Deb
Yeah.
McComas' sake, I'm getting a request for Coob.
For what?
Thank you, Karen.
Coob.
Spell that?
Like tube, but Coob.
Kubb, Judy. Kubb.
What is it?
Okay.
It's Viking chess. It's a game with wooden dowels and you're throwing, and you just need a flat patch of grass.
A rectangle?
Rectangle?
A rectangle, but it's much smaller than a soccer field. You can use a patch of lawn next to a field.
You get to throw sticks, Ann.
I guess that's a thing. Okay.
Okay. I will add them in
From
as,
COVID.
I will find a way to word something to get that list in and make it as a sample of activities that
Well,
they're.
and some of it changes as we change demographically. Indoor request is badminton, so, and then pickleball's just everywhere. But
Okay. Anything else on chapter 3?
Big chapter.
Page 25, some lands could be converted to community recreational use. Do we want to identify what some of them might be?
That is following as we're continuing on. The chart
Okay.
is on page
Got
30.
it? I'm going to go to that chart. So on that chart, the type is open space, but I know what the ridings, is Doylestown Hunt the detention basin?
Yep.
Can we
Yeah.
put,
What is
have
Spring
that.
Valley Road? I live next door to it.
there you go. I think beyond just that, we should identify what it is, because people get confused by what that is. The detention basin.
Yes, but they're labeled as open space on the plans. If you want, we can do parentheses detention basin, but not all of the land for each one of them is actually basin.
I understand that, but I want people to understand what they're reading. And this was, I brought this up 10 years ago when we did it, or
So Doylestown Hunt, I know. Hagen Court,
easements, or, and we
Some
can,
of
we
it's
can
open
fill them in.
space. We have to pull, you know,
yeah.
Yeah, we
And
can-
these aren't easements. These are the ones that are owned by the township, and some of that has a stormwater easement on
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, that's what I
Right.
mean.
So I have to laugh at, I mean, Valley View, I assume that's my neighborhood.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, but then across the street is where houses used to be and they were knocked down for the road. But that's pretty useless land. I mean, it's nice to have open space as opposed to, I don't know what could fit there, but it couldn't be, I don't think, turned into a field or, you know, any useful.
That's why, but that's why there's the big umbrella of open space, and some of it
Right.
could be recreational. That's why some lands could be converted, but not nearly all.
Okay.
Right, so that's why we were very careful, and you were on that committee, Kathy, I think, weren't you, when we crafted the open space so people understood, you know, Central Park is open space, it could all be converted back if that was the choice at some point in time.
Well, I just wondered on this one, it was, Karen, when you said about
Right,
some lands could be converted to community recreational.
yeah, I read that on 25, but, you know, we state it there, but we don't talk about what that might or could be.
Well, and the thing is, even some of the basins, like I think of the
Mhm.
one at the corner of Lime Kiln and Sandy Ridge Road, people have used that for recreation over the years. People have put up, you know, volleyball nets in there and played. Kids play in the basin during non-storm events if it's a mowed basin.
Mhm.
So they're used for informal, if it is open space, people are using it informally for recreation, doesn't need to be a defined. People will fly a
Okay.
kite, throw
Well, then
throw
let's
frisbee.
talk. Well, then let's, you know.
that
could
is
be
not
used for
township owned
formal
land though.
recreation.
That is
That
owned
one
by the
isn't, but-
Doylestown Township Municipal Authority.
Right,
Right, but I'm just using that as an example of one that
Mhm.
is visible.
right.
Mhm.
The detention
doesn't-
basin in
doesn't
my
one of those-
neighborhood is HOA land, but it's used for recreation.
Well, sure,
Sure.
it's community. So
Yeah,
I'm just trying to
same
talk
thing in
about
mine.
what could be
Yeah.
informal, so, you know, it could be used, could be converted, could be used for informal. It almost creates its own little strange pocket park in its own way.
So how
Bill,
about some lands
doesn't a
could be
soccer
used,
group-
I'm sorry,
Oh, informally, what you said, you know, could be used informally or is used informally within neighborhoods and as recreation space. Bill, doesn't a soccer group, or didn't they used to play in a basin in Northampton?
Oh, yeah. It was a basin designed by CKS. It was way over designed and never got wet. So the soccer, we actually just put lights up in it. We made modifications in the outflow structure and have made it a permanent asset in our community park.
So it's the soccer ball?
Yeah, exactly. Yep, we now have lights on it, so it's used year round now.
right, we'll address that then. And in light of that, I think we might not want to take out what was in basin and show that separate. I think if I clean up that paragraph beforehand,
Okay.
that might do it. Would that work for people?
Mm-hmm. I try to think beyond, I read this and I understand it, but I want, in fairness to other people that might pick it up and read it, and the supervisors, when they read it, they want to be clear in what we're telling them.
Good idea. Okay. Next, Karen, anyone?
I have a question on page 42, greenways and trails.
Okay, let me, oh, my fingers are sticking to page, or not gripping pages, I should say. Hang on. 42.
Yeah, greenways defined, the last paragraph, actually the last sentence of that. Remaining stream corridors in Doylestown Township are often surrounded by large tracts of farmland vacant land and minimally developed land, creating rural feeling stream corridors. I just wondered if you could tell me, this is just a point of information. Oh, is this Del Val? Where are we talking? What are we talking about here?
Wait, I just lost where you were. You were in,
The last sentence,
Page 42. Yeah, Doylestown Township Open Space
They
listed
provide
remaining
opportunities.
establishment.
yeah, right.
oh, that paragraph. Okay, I'm sorry. Remaining stream cards.
We have large tracts of farmland other than Del
Yeah,
Val?
Pebble Hill,
We
look
do.
all along Pebble Hill Road.
Yes.
We
That's a
have,
sig-
we have hundreds of acres along Pebble Hill Road. If you're
Okay.
coming down Edison Furlong and you make a right on like Wilkshire in that area and you come down
Yeah,
and it turns into Pebble Hill Road.
yeah.
And you go out there, Sugar Bottom, closer to you, go out Pebble Hill, like Spring Valley to Pebble Hill, stay on Pebble Hill, and at Sugar Bottom, continue right onto Pebble Hill. You might think you're in Warwickan, you're actually still in the township, and there's hundreds of acres, and the Neshaminy Creek sits at the far back area of those properties. Almost
Okay,
all of them
okay.
border that. It then goes into the Dark Hollow, which is in Warwick Township.
All right, all right. I think I was thinking that all that was Warwick. What is vacant land? What is that definition?
vacant land is land that does not have a building on it and may or may not be used for, actually is most likely not yet used for agriculture either. So there is land in the Board of Assessment that's listed as vacant land, and some of that is in that area along stream corridors.
Okay, and so basically that you're talking about the area that Stephanie just described as that's what's included basically in this.
That's part of it, and also
You could
there's
also do
parts
the
along the
Pine
Pine Run.
Got the Pine Run as
Yeah,
well.
okay.
I mean,
Okay,
there's segments all over the township, but those are probably, which the Pine Run is really part of the county, part of the dam system and everything like that.
right.
So.
And there's some rural areas coming up to a part of the patchwork of farms that Tex used to farm, and there are some of them
Yeah.
are still farmed, although the older farmer or the man who owned property near my house on Meeting House, I just learned he passed away, as did his wife. So that farm will no longer remain most likely, but that's what's been happening.
That was just point of information. I just didn't know where that was. Thank you.
Okay, Judy, page 37
37.
and 38.
Yeah,
We have brand new park descriptions updated by Marianne Bowman. I can send you. They're very nicely done.
these descriptions came from the township website, or did they change since you put them up?
They're brand new, brand new.
Like
Yep.
newer than,
Newer than, let me find.
because
new.
we-
Yep, newer than this. Yep.
right, because we updated everything to reflect the ones that you had just posted in
These went up-
August.
These went up last week.
All right, so at some point, we're gonna have a date. Because I've updated these 3 times every time you change something, so we'll update
Yeah.
them again.
Well, these are fully rewritten. This is a full update.
Are these the ones on the website now?
They're on the website now.
Update per the website as of today. Okay.
As of that, yep.
That was done by a volunteer on the Park and Rec Board, Judy.
Oh, good. Okay.
Very nicely done. And on page 38, but we'll fix that. And I probably have to go in and fix it on the website. That's where I caught the 140 acre.
Yeah, that came from the website. That's funny because I just saw that. I'm like, it jumped out at me.
Yeah,
Well,
And
actually,
Judy-
is
and
that
Karen?
fixed on the new description? Maybe it might be fixed already.
yeah.
Did you fix the acreage to match
I
the
think so.
lease? Yeah,
I think so. I
okay,
can't, to put the iPad up, I can't quite get to my computer. Well, maybe.
okay. Got it.
But I will confirm, I'll check that, Judy. If you don't hear from me, it's good. I think I caught them.
Do you have that in Word, Karen, still or not?
Yes.
If you want to just send me the Word,
Yep,
Cut and paste.
you got it.
because quite honestly, retyping it, there's more of a chance of me getting one of your things wrong.
That's fine. That's fine. Kathy, on the website, when you look at them, I had to modify them ever so slightly just to include the acreage, because some of them didn't have the acreage in it.
That's fine. When Mary Ann did that, it was per a request from the Bike and Hike Committee. I honestly didn't realize that it would go on the website as well. But that's great.
Well, it should. I mean, and that's where it should live first, is in Park and Rec. It's so we're working to it. There's a lot of things happening all simultaneously towards the greater good here.
And just so the whole group knows, Karen has been talking to me off and on over the last year about the work she's been doing and updating the website with the Park and Rec Board also. And we've been incorporating a lot of that into this. If you notice, even the cover, we did the information from the new branding that she's been developing. We included the mission statements. We took a lot of the information to incorporate in here so that we're reinforcing that branding and that information that she's trying to disseminate on a regular in a regular manner.
Unfortunately, the logo keeps moving to the background for other things, but that will be forthcoming.
Hey, Judy.
Yep.
On page 39, I was looking at some of the stuff, and so you have like the features, you have a sculpture at Triangle Park, but besides the sculpture, there's some benches, there's a walkway, a brick walkway where people can buy and, buy bricks and donate kind of thing. Is that like too much? Is just the sculpture the one kind of big feature?
Well, this one is the inventory that the Park and Rec subcommittee did.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't want to alter what they had
Right.
done. And we have
Okay.
the asterisk with the source from that.
Okay, that's fine.
So I think in that case, the major thing was the feature.
Right, okay, that's fine. That's fine. You're right. I mean, the sculpture is the main feature. I mean, there's ancillary things that are there too, but just
Like
as
on
a-
the Wheelhouse
just as a-
building, we didn't put the, it doesn't have picnic tables at the Wheelhouse building either.
Got it. Okay, no problem.
But it
I'm
does
just
on the next
Well,
page
maybe-
on 40.
maybe
It'll,
that could-
it, on page 40, it'll say like benches and picnic tables and that type of thing.
Yeah,
Right.
but it doesn't really have the brick walkway. I don't
Well, that
see
can be
that.
one of our goals, Steph, is, we can, and maybe Judy, if you want to somewhere stick that in as a recommendation to enhance the inventory, which then we have a full count of everything we have, and it'll grow into maintenance as well.
Actually, that's something that,
It should
hang
be a
on, let me just
project.
write enhance inventory. That's something that can go with the property management software or the stuff that Public Works is doing.
The asset management.
Asset management, thank you.
Yep.
Is that are they using the current software now, Karen?
Yes,
They are. I'm not sure what's called. I have to get the Dave on that one.
it's a CS Datum.
I'm sorry, what's it called?
It's called CS Datum.
Oh, okay.
It's out of CS Davidson, which is a engineering firm out of York.
Gotcha.
Similar to Tracer, but a lot less money.
Okay.
Call me later offline and tell you all about it.
Yeah, I will. We just launched Tracer 2 years ago.
Okay.
And Bill, as someone who works with a lot of municipalities, Tracer is good, but this one's more intuitive and easier for anyone. Judy can work without like having any training or anything in it. Like the little bit that I've had to like look up things with Andrea and stuff, it's so much more intuitive.
Interesting. We'll have to check it
And
out.
we can make it easily accessible to our consultants with it because it's all
Web-based.
web-based, I guess you'd say, in the cloud. Jen, did you have a question? You're
I keep hovering over my mute buttons.
oh, okay. I just saw your hand and I'm like, I didn't want you to get missed.
No, I'm waiting for a turn to talk so that I don't interrupt. But I had a couple notes on this chapter. Are we at a point where I can do that? Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so on page 37, there's a listing of places of worship that offer recreational and recreational community opportunities. But I don't see like Temple Judea in there. I would like to at least have there's a lot of places of worship, but they all seem to be centered around one type of faith. There's also the sentence, Our Lady Mount Carmel facilities are for groups affiliated with Mount Carmel only. I was wondering, would it be okay to reword that to say Our Lady of Mount Carmel facilities are used for groups affiliated with Mount Carmel? I don't know, it just seemed like
That's one of the
kinda
legacy.
negative.
That's one of the legacy comments. And now that you mention that, other people can rent the facilities. So I'm going to just
Oh,
add them to
okay.
the list.
Okay. I had a
I
question
thought
about
places of worship was in here. But I'm trying to.
I'm sorry, Karen.
it is, there's places of worship, but they're all, there's the Presbyterian Church, the
Yeah.
Mennonite Church, the Methodist Church, but Temple Judea is kind of left out, and I see them left out a lot in some of the things
Right.
that we
I
document.
agree.
So I'd like
That's a
to,
good catch.
Well, they weren't built in 2007. That's probably why.
Well, the
Right.
other
yeah,
thing
I'd
is,
like to be,
well, the other
other
thing is,
thing
it
is,
was
do they have-
offers gym time, and there's no gym.
Yeah, there's
That's
no
why we
gym.
didn't do it.
right, but they also allow for rental space for things like scouting groups is
Right, so-
commented on there, so,
Mhm.
and they do
Yeah, so-
that, so.
Right. I didn't put them in because they didn't offer gym time, but I'll get them in and I'll reword that.
Thank you.
I know intimately what they have.
Okay. Okay. But I just wanted to make sure that that was added if appropriate. But also on the chart on page 39, I had a question about the feature at Bridgepoint. It's called Wheelhouse Building, but in the
Wheelwright.
description. Pardon?
I think it's Wheelwright, isn't it?
That's what I was thinking. In the description, it's called the Wheelwright Shop, but on the chart, it's called Wheelhouse Building. So I don't know if we need to change that.
That's the way it came in the inventory. We will fix that for that.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if it's the same thing or if it was like just for consistency. Let me see what else I have.
Where I think
Oh.
you used to take your wagon wheel and get it fixed, right? So what were those called?
Wheelwright buildings.
All
Right building, yeah, okay.
Building.
I haven't done that in a
while. The next page I saw in page 49, we start talking about the amphitheater and the Thompson Performing Arts Series. And I know we were talking about when it came to COVID-19 and the opioid being more generic in our wording. I was wondering if it would be appropriate to make this more generic. Or do you think that having them pay us the fee gives them a space in this document?
No, I have it noted here as well. It says we need to, because it may change over the next 10 years. Right now it's CNN Amphitheater, but I wrote Central Park Amphitheater if we want to note about naming rights and
Yeah.
and you know, at the time of this adoption, but
I mean, this is the second name on it, but now
Right.
that bank and this bank have merged anyway, so.
right.
Right. I
Yeah.
changed the name to match the current one. We'll just have amphitheater and we'll say the Central Park Amphitheater, or actually the amphitheater in Central Park.
That's fine.
Right,
And then,
the
you know,
amphitheater
when
in
we
Central
talk
Park.
about sponsorship, free music concerts, movies during celebrations, sponsorships are available, you know, for.
The naming of the, can
for
we
events.
reference, should we reference that we name it? Or
we
that
have-
naming
and-
rights
yeah.
available to
I would-
the structure or no?
I'd rather not have that in here because that's a policy that can change depending on
Okay.
the board. And I think that's something that you have separate. Naming rights aren't part of the recreation.
Got it,
Perfect.
okay. Thanks
And
for
then should I
clarifying.
take out-
Thompson come out also?
That's what I was asking. Should I take Thompson out too?
I
Yeah,
probably would.
The
Yeah.
annual performing arts
Because
series.
that's the naming
Mhm.
opportunity as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll take out the names and just have the elements in.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, if we wanted to give a piece of history, we could talk about the Performing Arts Series, you know, began in 1995.
I don't think we need to do that because we're not saying when everything else began necessarily.
Mhm.
I just, all right,
So-
we're talking about the series.
Okay, so the next note that I had was on page 51. Under Parkland, number 2 on the top, it says secure long-term lease for Turk Park. We talked about that. We already have a 25-year lease put in all our Turk Park
Mhm.
facilities, so maybe change from secure to maintain a long-term lease.
I think
Or
we were actually
continue.
looking,
Or continue,
we were looking to, when we say long-term, we're looking for something beyond 25 years.
Okay.
Because then you could get the grants. That's what Karen, that was a nod toward Karen for something more than 25 so she can go for the DCNR grants.
So then,
Well, and I mean, the
Got
thing
it.
is that we have leased land, let's just say that. I mean, the land has grown over time, but we started leasing land in the 70s from the county with what we all know as quote Turk 1. And then over time, in the 90s and 2000s, we acquired what we refer to as Turk 2 and 3, and now we just want the whole complex. I double checked that number. I think it's closer to 63, Judy, on the acreage.
63 acres.
So, you know,
Right.
so I'm not real sure, you know, I mean, we continue the lease in a sense because we have leased it for so long.
Should we secure a longer-term lease? Would that work for
That's,
you?
I mean, listen, we tried when in last year, we tried to go longer and the county was not willing to go longer.
Well, and we noted that the county has been resistant to it, but I'm trying to balance between what I know is the reality and Karen's goal of
I understand.
hearing more. So I'm
Okay,
just trying to
and-
get to,
Somebody, you know, we all may be here, we may all not be here as the comp plans move forward. And, you know, recommendations, some come to pass, some don't. But if opportunity knocks, I'd like to be able to point to the document and that we embrace that concept, or if we don't, then we don't. But if opportunity knocks to just secure the parkland in perpetuity, or if it knocks to enhance the lease opportunity, I'd hate not to have someplace to go to say, we've thought about that, we've talked about it.
Can we say it that way then? You know, continue the long-term lease of Turk Park facilities with the county. And if an opportunity presents itself to do exactly what, you know, to obtain more or a longer lease
Or to,
You know-
to attain the property as a,
as a township, you know, to obtain the part, you know, to either for the township to obtain it as in ownership in perpetuity, or that a longer term lease. I don't see the county at this point in time. I mean, they were reluctant to do it last year, and I don't see anything, say in the next 10 years, I don't see that changing.
I don't necessarily see it either, but I don't want to be the glass half empty if opportunity comes forward, which, I mean,
Sure.
we've had a lot of opportunity knock over the years. I don't want to miss the boat if it does.
how about
It may not.
explore opportunities to either obtain a longer-term lease or obtain ownership? Just explore
Mhm.
opportunities. Would that work?
Sure.
but
Like
do
Steph said,
we-
it may never happen, but you know, right now I'm thinking of you know, our residents and our acreage. Those numbers change pretty dramatically from parkland, and there's not a whole lot left in the township when you start to separate out the lease and the
Sure.
and the owned.
do we determine what that, or define what that long-term lease is? I mean,
No.
No, because I think that it's an unknown, it's a definitive unknown. It's going to be whatever the will of the county is. It's county land. Yeah, at some point it could be an extension of the prison, but or administrative, it could be anything. But it's you know, I think the intent is to preserve. What's our tagline now?
What? Preserving the past, embracing the future?
No,
no, it's play, it's play, explore, and preserve.
preserve.
There it is.
Guys, I hate to interrupt, but I actually need to leave. Are we
Okay.
scheduling another meeting? Or is there a way that I can talk to somebody about the other concerns I had?
You can talk to Karen and she can then let me know what
Okay.
needs to change in the document itself.
Okay.
So what I was doing, Ann, I was just jotting down the page number and what my thoughts were on just white paper.
Right.
Because if I turn these pages constantly, I keep getting lost in here. And I've looked at it for 10 years.
Yeah.
So that would be helpful.
Okay, I can do page numbers for sure. And some of these were just sort of general comments on corrections, but I'm sorry, we were scheduled till noon and I have another thing at 12:30.
That's okay.
so Are we going to meet again or not? Is this it?
I think probably not, as far as I understand, right, Judy?
It's up to
Well,
you
it's,
as my client.
we got to back into, I got to back into, well, let's have a, since I'm looking at everybody, do people feel like we need another meeting or just to submit any further comments?
I think it's been a very good discussion. I think we haven't even gotten halfway through the document
I
yet.
think we need to finish this meeting before we,
Yeah, okay, we can do that.
Okay,
So-
well, I'm hopeful that there'll be another one because I think that it's better when there's many heads involved.
Yep.
But anyway, thanks, and I'll log off then.
Okay, thanks, Ann. I'll talk to you
Bye,
about,
Ann.
we'll
Thank
see
you,
where
Ann.
we're going.
Okay,
thank you. We appreciate your input, Ann.
thanks.
Absolutely. All right, Judy, indoor recreation facilities, page 49. That seems to be a really nice paragraph to mention that what we started out with in the discussion about inclusiveness and future awareness of public needs as they relate to recreation without necessarily talking about COVID.
Well, this is the first part's just the analysis of what is there right now, and then the recommendations. The recommendations will say with the inclusive stuff,
Mhm.
the conclusions and recommendations, which we do have.
Okay, I'm just reading the paragraph and we speak very specifically to the senior centers and how people are moving away from them. And it's very specifically a conversation about indoor recreation, so I thought maybe that would be, a sentence in there wouldn't hurt us.
We'll get something in there. Jen, did you have more on your list still?
I had one little tiny thing. On page 51 at the bottom, it says under number 5, removal of the red activities building. Do we need to call it the red activities building? Can we just say the removal of the activities building?
It always was the red building. I mean,
No.
that's
It was, well,
history.
it was always the red building, and then we tried to move it to the activity center. But maybe add indoor recreation facilities, it's removed. I mean, it
No,
is
I think
removed.
I'm not married to it one way or the other. I just thought
Yeah.
it was kind of cute that.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's
I-
either- So we tried to call it the activity center, and people would say, where is it? We'd go, the red building.
It's the red building.
I
It
think
always
for-
was.
I think since it's no longer here, we can just call it since removal of the activities building. I think I'm with you on that, Jen.
Okay.
That's history.
I'm smiling though, because whenever I called it the activities building, I was corrected. It was the red building, or it was the red activity center.
And
Yeah,
it
we
was
called it
such
the
a great thing to get it. You know, that's
Right.
the other thing, is it was
So,
such a
and,
great thing to get it.
It was always the red building, and when we got the room, because it was the activities room, Jen, I always tried to call it the activity center because I thought maybe one day we'd be lucky enough to have it grow up and be a center.
Okay. Jen, did you have anything else on chapter 3? No. Deb, Bill, Kathy? Oh, Deb,
I-
you're muted. Sorry.
I'm deliberately muted, so there's no noise coming from my place, and so I'm good on this chapter.
Thank you. Tell your noise I said hi.
Will do.
Judy, I did have one comment. I'm trying to find it now. I forgive me if this is the wrong chapter. I'm not sure. Page 37 of the document, 47 of the PDF. There's right above the last paragraph in Park Factor 5.
Mhm.
That's the very first reference of the shooting range
Yes,
that exists on land owned by Bucks County.
yes.
For point of reference, you might want to mention that as the first like mention the name of the Fish and Game group that uses it, because it's referenced later in the document, but the actual name of the group's referenced later in the document, but because it took me a minute to tie the two together.
Yeah, I did, that's in your notes, I think. You included on your PDF notes, didn't you?
I did. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. We'll get that in. That was the, I forget the name offhand, but we'll get that in. It appears later.
Just because the first time it was referencing that piece, for the reader, they may be familiar with the name of the group that's there, not necessarily that it's a range.
Ladies, just wanted to talk to you. We are potentially bidding.
That was all I had. That wasn't.
Karen, what is the name of that group?
Bucks County Fish and Game.
Thank you.
Yep, that. So yeah, Bill, and one of my recommendations next time this gets done as a full plan would be to package it in a much more concise and easy to read way.
That would have been fun had we had the chance to do that.
Yes, it would. And,
Yeah.
and someday somebody will.
And we actually refer to the wheelwright shop there, Judy. In that same paragraph, around Bridgepoint Park. Yeah.
Where are we?
Yeah.
I thought we were on page 37.
Yeah, on page 37, it references the wheelwright shop.
Oh, down below. That came from the township website, but that's going to change. But yeah, that's the wheelwright.
But wheelwright, not wheel, yeah.
Yeah, that the other reference came from the
Yeah, no, I
inventory
know.
of the subcommittee.
I know, but just caught that too.
Yeah. All right. Anything else left in chapter 3?
I have on table 15, is it going to stay the size that it is so that it's divided into 2 pages or 3 pages?
What page was that, Judy? Or Kathy?
It's page 39, 40.
39, 40, and 41.
41. We could shrink it and make it a smaller font.
Well, I'm just thinking, could we do the title, the park name, bring down the names of the parks to the
Oh, we
second
could do
page?
that. We just put it in as it was formatted. We can have the heading repeat.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I think, what's up? Maybe.
Hi, Flav.
I know. I'm trying to get him to go.
That's right. At least he didn't walk behind you in his underwear or anything. We're good.
Not yet anyway, right? That one I'm kidding.
Yeah, I can create the heading bar for that.
Okay. All right.
Chapter 3 going once, going twice. Sold for chapter 4. Okay, so for those of you that,
Okay,
Are
wait, can
wondering-
we go back just for a second?
of course,
Can we go back? And this is just on page 52. And I may have, where it says, review the level of staff maintenance parks.
yes.
Is there any kind of standard that says if you have so many acres that you should have so much maintenance, or any type of reference as far as to put more meat into that? Or
I actually looked at standards for that, and the sources that I looked at purposely do not include standards because each park has different levels of activities in it
that makes sense.
and different things. Like a park that is trails and meadow and one rectangular field is different than a park that has 5 rectangular fields in that same area. Like, so it's really hard to do that. It is though recognized, and we've mentioned it in here, which is why we have this comment in. as amenities are added and as your system ages, more maintenance is required. And we do have, we touch on that, which is why we included this comment in here. But there's no magic thing that says, like police, they'll say, you need so many officers per so much population or so much density of population. There's no magic formula for park and recreation maintenance.
Okay.
Or
Okay.
even maintenance for a township roads or something. There's no formula.
Okay. All right. That was my.
It would make it too easy, Kathy. Okay.
All right. I think that's it.
All right. So we're on 4, which goes from 53 to 78.
53 at the top, first sentence. It's just one of those little semantic things that bugs me. To try out. Can we put something else there besides try out?
Actually,
Your
it's, I
answer.
think just removing try out, and that was part of the legacy from 4, but we can just remove try out. So it's the kind of for citizens to explore and enjoy the park's music drama.
Perfect.
Okay.
Best of the best, close to home. I was going through here thinking that all this is still current.
I went through the list and we edited that quite a bit.
Okay.
Patrick can nod to me like I picked that one apart.
Okay, good.
I have a couple things on that section.
Yeah.
Sorry, Patrick.
Yeah. Pickleball's not in there.
Pickleball's not in there. No, it isn't. But Bucks Fever, I'm ashamed to say I don't know what that is.
Oh. Bucks Fever is a series of events put on through the Chamber of Commerce each year. Oops, I missed it.
Is that the lunch thing that they do in the borough? The brown
It's
bag?
there's lunch, there's a expo at Del Val. There are different events throughout the spring and summer.
Okay, and the only other PC note that I have in there is that it says Boy Scouts on there, but they changed their name, so it's the Scouts
Oh.
now.
Yep.
What was, yeah,
It's
We
just
have to wait
Scouts.
for Borough, we could just combine them in the scouts.
yeah. That's actually a good idea. Okay.
That's it, otherwise great.
No, I'm going to let Patrick lead this one instead of me leading this one because this is more him, and I'll jump in when needed. I'm sorry, Patrick. I didn't mean to.
It's fine.
So the
Be overbearing.
last paragraph before recreational trends, and this is probably as it was 10 years ago. But when you collaborate with many community organizations and youth sports, all this local, but it's also now regional and national.
And where are you looking at this?
That's the last paragraph before the black bar that says recreation trends.
Okay. So you want to add a regional and national element to that?
Yeah, local. I'm thinking back when Bill and I were charter members of BCRC, which is actually going strong right now.
That's great.
Okay. Anything else?
Those baby boomers are coming on strong.
I do want to note that the section with the program inventory, I was just waiting on the last 2 years of data when
Yep.
this originally got submitted. So all of that's been updated as far as the charts and finishing up some program inventory stuff, but that will be reflected. It doesn't really affect what you see there all that much. there's a slight uptick in participation in the last 2 years, but it'll relatively be the same with the updated version of those charts.
Some of that's
I
probably
have a
gonna be
lot of
more
the,
indoor.
there's the, I'm sorry. As far as like the green highlighted, I think that's what you were looking to update, right, Patrick?
That's what I was
Green
referencing.
highlighted in my copy.
Yes,
Okay.
correct. So that's,
So I had some things in there, but I'm not sure whether you've updated it or not. So I would hate to waste our time going through it, like mentioning Oktoberfest.
right.
and
Yep.
Things like that. So I don't want to waste our time with it if you're doing that,
All
but are we
that.
going to be able to see it one more time before?
Yeah, I mean, I have pretty much all of it done except some things on the table 17 I'm finishing up. So once that's
Okay.
available, I'm sure another draft will go out.
Okay.
One of the things I've been doing a little research on and reading on is under some of the trends. Strangely enough, a lot of the backyard type of games, socially distanced type of games, which are becoming more norm, are becoming more prevalent in park and recreation programming. And we have the bocce courts like bocce, like cornhole, like Cube, which we mentioned earlier. A lot of these are becoming, national associations and park and rec departments are picking up on them. So they're this smaller,
More niche sports.
yeah, that are being incorporated into park and rec programming, which allows inclusion, cross age groups, and engagement, safe engagement.
Okay. Yeah, I can add a note about that.
Kind of strange, but
Okay. Yeah, I can add a note for those type of sports and how
they're seeing leagues and tournaments and instructional opportunities. And I think probably it started out as the ability of people come out and engage because they've been shut down for so long, but they seem to be continuing. There's one place I found where cornhole tournament is like one of their biggest events they have all year.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that last part, but you kind of
There was one community where one of their largest events they have is a cornhole tournament. So while you can do that in your backyard, it's really becoming a means of engagement, and they're popping up more and more, I'm finding. In fact, you have the kickball league, don't you? Is it kickball?
Yeah, we do.
There's a huge kickball league in Washington, D.C. They play on the mall.
So I can make it so it's not like referencing COVID or anything,
Right.
or social
Right.
distancing directly, but more of these backyard
Community
sports.
engaging, social, yeah, that are.
Right. So as a social activity for all.
I think one of the important things is it crosses generations.
Right. Like our kickball league in Middletown, I mean, we have anywhere from 21 to 65 age group playing in that league. So yeah, I think I can add something like that in.
So at the again, I'm trying to find a ways not. I agree, Judy. So we don't want to point out COVID, but as we come to recreation opportunities and trends, one of the biggest trends that has come out of this year is the value and essential existence of park and recreation in the community.
So parks and recreation's importance in general, or?
Yeah, and I think the spotlight was shown on that this year. And
So how do you,
somewhere.
I mean, it's obvious that more people are out and about and utilizing our parks now. I mean, you hope that is going to continue.
We do, and we want to be able to we want to be able to use our plan to demonstrate that. 'Cause again, I'm thinking not just what's happening this year, but looking to the future. So this is, fortunately for us, our plan to this point has been somewhat torn and tattered. We've used it regularly, not a document on the shelf, and I want to make sure we create the opportunity to provide best service and best practices going forward, and be prepared for that.
I mean, one of the comments that Patrick included already on page 57 is one that is timeless and has brought us through COVID-19 is the bike and hike system has provided an important recreation opportunity in the community. People of all ages use the bike path 7 days a week year round. That's a timeless statement. It just becomes more relevant today,
Right.
regardless of whether we're in COVID-19 or not.
I agree.
That was building up more anyway.
I think COVID-19 spills out of the mouth because it's new to us, but I think that the outcome of that in general is timeless. And the same thing has happened, not just with the bike hike system, but with the programming and the incorporation of the virtual programming and people seeking out opportunity.
Mhm.
So I think that's,
Yeah, and Patrick touches on the virtual programming also in one of the recommendations, which I think was building up toward that before COVID-19 anyway, in the realm of being more inclusive and reaching populations that may not be able to come to you for recreation.
right. Yeah, I have a sneaking suspicion that, people have liked this virtual programming to some extent. I mean, they would love to see their kids be gone for a period of time in the summer at camps and whatnot, but they actually seem to have liked it. And for example, the Camp in the Bag went really well for us.
Yeah, same for us too. I think we had like 45 people or 45 families do it for the 6 weeks we offered it. So that was a great idea.
Yeah. And the feedback was very good. So it's an interesting concept of how you can incorporate that, whether it's a camp or whether it's, out of school activity or school off activities. And places for people to gather. And obviously that's my concern going forward once we continue to look at this building is the community going to be able to use it, or is it going to be rented all the time? So that's yet to be seen, yet to be determined, but.
Right.
Hey gang, I hate to do this, but I gotta jump off. If there's any other, if there's going to be another meeting, certainly let me know. I will get email
Okay.
any additional comments over to Karen and Judy
Okay.
from here. I think it's going in the right direction. Is the timeline still to try to get it adopted by the end of the year?
I would like to see if we can pull that off, Bill. If we can, I'm not hesitant to call Mark and ask for an extension. But if we can get it done, I think that would behoove us.
Okay. All right, very good. Thanks, guys. I appreciate everybody's work on this. I'll be in touch and let
Thank
me
you,
know
Bill.
if
Thank
you,
you.
if you end up having another meeting or not.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks for all the hard work and input.
Pat, I think you did a great job on this section. I'm really,
Thank you. If there is anything in that green highlighted section, though, I will say, if you do want to just mention any of it, just to make sure, so I can make sure that I'm not missing anything that you may want included, I would say,
yes.
if you want to mention it, that's no problem.
As
Do you
wouldn't-
want us to
it does.
email it in?
I
Am
have,
I muted? No, I'm not.
I've been working with our park superintendent, relatively new in this position, taking it very serious. I have his list now as of this morning. Judy and you and I spoke about it. And so Pat, I will also have some capital items to give you.
Okay.
Might be making up the costs, but it's more capital maintenance. But it's going to speak definitively to, we have reached the point where I think that our repair and replacement, end of life, and maintaining parks is creeping up on us.
So that's some items for chapter 5, which is also for
Yeah.
Patrick. You'll get that into both of us though, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Judy, like we had offered, we might, if you're in one day and I can call Chris in and we can sit down and go through it, I think he would appreciate that.
Yeah, let me know because I think I'm in on Friday morning, right, Stephanie? So maybe after the staff meeting on Friday, if you're in, we could do that.
Okay, yeah, shoot me a time and I'll get Chris.
Well, I don't know what time that'll be
Okay.
over. It's over when I'm
you're
told it's
done?
over.
When done. No, Steph, we'll talk about a ballpark so I can have Chris be ready.
So do we want to, I mean, I have a couple things on page 60
Sure.
that I feel are kind of nitpicky, but
Yeah. Like I said, even though they're highlighted, they may be updated, but just let me know whatever you have just so I can double check.
like the egg hunt is no longer, the Halloween parade is no longer, the Oktoberfest isn't, I mean.
Yeah, all that's been taken out.
Updated.
Yep.
So, and I had a question on, under location, where it says why it's not reflected on the chart, and then it lists cooperation and partnership with private facilities such as Dancers Extraordinaire,
You're gone, yeah.
all of that. Do those, should we just leave that sentence with private
Without it,
facilities, period?
What page are you on, Kathy? I lost my place. What page?
it's the next page, 60.
61.
Yeah,
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, I keep, I've got two computers going.
We could do that, although if there's specific examples of private facilities you want to cite, Karen, we could do them.
I mean, I guess, Karen, my point is,
I am looking at it.
if somebody reads it and they're in partnership and their name isn't on there,
Right.
you know, when we took out CNN and Thompson,
I think we should end it with a period after the word facilities on private facilities and not have a list. And that would be more all-inclusive, if that's okay with the group of you.
It is okay with me.
Sorry to jump in there, but
And, you know, some of them come and go, they change, you know, one karate might become another karate and.
and I think the recreation partners box will be coming out also,
Okay,
just so you know,
that's good.
in the same discussion. That's just
Yeah.
part of it.
for the same point, okay.
Most of the programs are held outdoors. Indoor programs are offered at facilities that are not owned by the municipalities, including commercial enterprise. We don't really have indoor programs that are, we have very few programs that are in other facilities where the indoor programs are lacking because we don't have a place to have them.
Well, you do, I mean, you have indoor programs that are at Cornerstone, for instance. You do have indoor programs
Yeah,
elsewhere.
but we don't have a lot of them. Yeah, that's where I see, Kathy. It's hard to read. The light in here is yeah, I would just take out the list.
Examples.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
changes all the time. And like you said, it's 10 years to go, so.
Right.
I have a general comment about, on page 61, under location, the first paragraph, it ends up saying that the township does not use school district facilities except for rain dates for the summer performing arts series in conjunction with the borough. That's not in conjunction with the borough, is it?
No.
And they're not helping us pay for this update,
That's
right?
one of the ones. That's
Right.
one of
I
the
would
ones
just sit
Patrick
for the
has.
performing arts because I've been having some conversation as to, why we're not in conjunction with the borough. People don't know where they live. They like to go. If we can develop a partner for that, I would be all in for that. So I don't
Me too.
want to exclude a partner, but we never know when partners are going to come up. So
Yeah, but it wouldn't hurt just to end it at the dates for the summer performing arts series, period.
correct. I
That's,
agree.
And the borough wants to chip in
I
on an
agree.
update, they can help out. But I also see on
Absolutely.
72 under CB Cares, there's another reference to Doylestown Borough. But CB Cares is not just Doylestown and Doylestown Borough, the township and borough, right? They're New Britain and like
Central
all the
Bucks,
other-
Central Bucks School District wide.
Central Bucks, yeah. So
Yeah.
I think we can cut the borough out of that sentence too.
Mhm.
yep.
Okay.
Ooh, that sounds.
Is that mean? I feel mean.
No. I'm trying.
No, you're being
I like to partner
specific.
with the borough.
You're parsing the words.
Yes,
The other question, I mean, in Central Bucks Family YMCA, it says that they're undergoing a capital campaign for facility expansion. That's still ongoing?
That-
The capital campaign?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they've been under one capital campaign or another for the last 30 years.
Yes.
Yeah. Another question that kind of just exposes my ignorance, on page 76, under program registration, it says program registration is online MyRec. Is it still MyRec? Did we change that when we updated the web
That's the
page?
underlying management system. I think we can just take out MyRec, because at that point, online was so new. And we were just incorporating it. So
Actually, the last one, it said to explore online. It wasn't online yet on the last one.
it was just so early on. So I think now it would just be up to speed to be online, and how that morphs from one point to another. Program promotion, newsletter advertisers. Do we, under promotion, website, social media presence, email, okay, good.
Yeah,
Kinda
Patrick
check all
updated
the
that.
boxes.
We tweaked it.
Yeah, and I added this is going to be in the update. I added a recommendation. It'll be on page 77 about boosting social media presence. I went and checked to see what you guys
Yeah.
had. And, I just wanted to comment on
Right.
continuing
Perfect.
to use it and expand into
Right.
more
Enhance marketing.
avenues like Instagram, Twitter, things like that. So you guys made a Twitter in February. I didn't see anything on it, but
Right.
so
We don't, Park and Rec doesn't have a Twitter. The
No, Township does, and we
Instagram.
post their information. Anything for Park and Rec that they provide us. They have the access to the suite for the township, so they post stuff all the time.
okay.
February, yeah.
And the other thing I don't think people realize, because a lot of people say, why don't you just go to an electronic brochure? And that is not the trend, and it's not recommended.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it either. There is some value in having a separate Parks and Recreation page, just because sometimes if it's all in one township feed, things can get lost. But
Yeah,
the people that are specifically looking for Parks and Rec news and information have
Right.
a different avenue.
yeah, that's our complaint, number one complaint, but year-round program schedule.
All right, you all, I just lost, where are we? Because
We were last looking at 76, I think.
Yeah. So I took out my rec and just left it online mail or drop.
Online. Right.
One of the other things that I noticed was I love bullet point 11 or number 11 on page 78. But I was wondering if we could kind of, it says to focus on gender equality, and it talks about inclusivity with LGBTQ+. But to, and I hate to push the
No, it's
issue
important. It's
too
important.
terribly much, but there's no comment. I don't think there's anything talking about as far as inclusivity being for different cultures as well, and different, I mean, races maybe not. I don't know if that would be working into this, but definitely a different cultures, because as we were saying, like cricket's becoming more popular, and there's a lot more that's specifically related to culture.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
I don't know if we can add some wording for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you have social and cultural equity in delivery of services, and it's
Yeah.
and it's more inclusive. It's the goal is not to be
Right, but I love that it's in there. I just think that I would love to expand it to just inclusive of all cultures and
Sure. Yeah, at the time
orientations.
that I wrote it, it was one of the main NRPA trends, so I wanted to include it. Now, obviously, there's a lot more that probably should be included, so I think we can expand on that for sure.
Awesome, thank you. I have some limited time right now too, so
Okay.
I'm gonna have to leave soon.
Me too.
Okay, so,
You want to throw out what you have left, Jen, real quick or not?
Well, that's that chapter, but I do have something on page 87 that I did want to bring up really quickly under financing.
have that all highlighted.
ahead.
So before I leave, I just wanted to add that we have all these different ways to finance our programs, but I was wondering whether we could put some specific wording in about that, the arts, I forget what fund it is. Stephanie, what's the fund, the performing arts fund that we've been talking about recently?
Performing arts.
It's just performing arts.
Performing
So
arts.
it's the funds that that's the funds that we're unofficially set aside for performing arts.
Like the
specific
dedicated,
that we're
yeah,
talking about.
dedicated fund.
Mhm.
We could talk to the dedicated funds. Also, the number is not $10,000, it's $15,000, isn't it? Steph,
Okay.
correct me if I'm wrong, but it moved from 10 to 15.
Mhm.
Right. So, but is that 15,000? That's that specific fund that we're talking about?
No, that was the capital
That's
improvement.
The capital
That's
improvement.
capital improvement. That's different. Okay. Yeah. So I would like to put in that there's a dedicated fund for the performing arts and mention that in there. So that there is somewhere
have to
documented
talk
that
about
is
performing arts.
for
There are
the arts.
funds, there are separate funds for certain areas to help offset costs for that area. So do you just want to limit it to performing arts, or do you want to just talk about the specific funds in general?
Well, there was a fund that we had the discussion about that was that you raise money doing all sorts of performing arts. I'm sorry. We did
So it would be very similar to Kids Castle Fund. So all those funds are in 05, the Park and Rec Fund. You'll likely see performing arts move over there because it's not really a capital fundraising fund. That doesn't disappear. But when you do have a large project like that, or you have an ongoing project, you try to create the fund to help offset. So I don't have to knock on your door all the time.
Karen, do you want to get
I would
Patrick
like to
the list of
have
those
some wording
funds?
put in there.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, I did update the capital improvement budget and debt service chart with what I found in the 2020 budget. But if there's that, like, Karen, I can send you
Yep.
what I
Yeah,
have, and if there's anything that needs to be added to that chart, just let me know.
you got it. If you do that, I'll get that done for you. And
Okay.
Jen, that's a really good identifier.
Jen, what else did you have? I don't want you to miss before you leave.
Right.
Well, let me just say that the reason why I wanted to add that fund is because it's been kind of fairly ambiguous, and it would be nice to have some specific put in there about it. Let me see what else I have. Oh, I'm all over the place. Page 85, number 5. It says something about computerize the maintenance workload cost tracking system. And I think that's
page was
the
that,
asset
Jen?
tracking system
Page
software. that we're-
85.
Page 85. Yeah. I think that was the number 5. It says computerize the maintenance workload cost tracking system. Is that the asset tracking software that we have now?
No, this would be, I believe, it may, attach would be like
Okay,
another
different.
module, but it would be something else specific.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, my papers got a little out of order. Page 82, the first paragraph under volunteer advisory boards and committees, it says they focus on parks and recreation within each of their jurisdictional boundaries. It's another dig on the borough. Like, we should get rid of that.
Yeah, that last sentence will come out. Yeah.
Sorry, borough.
I opted not to be part of this.
Actually, page 79, going back again, the purpose of management and financing assessment. It says the purpose of the management and financing assessment was to work with Doylestown Township and Doylestown Borough. So get rid of them.
Get out of there.
Out of there. Sorry, I'm going to speed this through really quickly. I'm gonna tell my my friends in the borough that I was nasty to them. Okay. I apologize for speeding through like this, but
No, don't.
on page 99 in chapter 6, under goals, I don't see anything about environmental goals, and I would love to see some goals in there, especially we were talking about the Ready for 100. I don't know if we want to do
That would be under the
Ready for
under the resource conservation, so we could add something, an objective in goal 1.
I see. Maybe that's fine. I think that might be okay. I was just on a tear. And page 101, under 11, I was curious. It says the third check mark down. It says replace or remove shade structures. Why are we removing shade structures?
That was a recommendation from the Park and Rec Board, their subcommittee under their facilities analysis. Some of them are beyond their lifespan.
Okay.
Kath, which ones are we're talking about there? Because we're going to replace, not just remove. Is that what we're talking about outside Kids Castle?
Yeah,
It's
Yeah, they're
under
gonna be-
Central Park.
That's going to be a replacement. It's a maintenance replacement.
It says replace or remove shade structures.
That was their recommendation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want us to take out the word replace?
no,
I mean,
it would be
remove?
Take out remove.
Okay.
Mhm.
And
Well, I
that
guess
was
the
just to give
question
options.
of,
I mean,
you
that
know,
was-
if it needs to be replaced, but we may not replace it right now, but they may have to be removed right now for safety purposes.
That's, I think
Yeah.
You know,
that's
train of
why it was
thought there.
replace and or remove.
Okay.
Should we
Yeah,
leave it
so-
the way it was then? Well,
Yeah,
you're-
but it's
you're
a
muted, Kathy.
recommendation. It's a recommendation, so the recommendation is to replace it, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
It's to
That
replace
may
it
have to be
general,
removed
but
for
if it's not,
safety. For example, the fitness stations at Turk are all coming out. They'll actually be out by the end of this week, but the goal would be to replace them.
okay, so we'll leave replace as the goal or the recommendation. Okay.
My next one is under Appendix A. It says Kids Castle play area is not addressed in this assessment. I would love to have Kids Castle addressed in the assessment. Is there a reason why it's not?
Can I address that? Is that me, right?
Yeah, this was the
Andrea,
assessment
I'm
that the Park
sorry.
and Rec Board
I think
did
it might be
internally.
So,
I see.
okay, we didn't go into Kids Castle. It's totally different. We were doing the entire park system, not the specifics. Like, we didn't, well, that's it. It's,
They didn't have the tools or the training to do a specific assessment of the structure, I think is what
The
the real
playground.
issue was.
But Jen, there is a list I have coming in from park maintenance with Chris that we will identify additional maintenance items and buckets, maintenance and capital maintenance repairs and future projects.
Okay.
Judy, on page
I
94,
think
this-
that was everything that I have.
Got to
If you have more,
scoot. I'm
just
trying
give me
to
a
do
shout.
work and this, and it's not working. So I need to scoot. I will send things in and I guess request, will we get edited or an updated?
Based on all of the comments, once the comments are in and we hear from Karen that all the comments are in, Patrick and I will prepare a revised draft that
Okay.
will get to Karen and she'll distribute to the group review again.
I would say
But
if anybody-
I don't want to do that till we know that all the comments are in. So we need to set a protocol to make sure that all the comments are into Karen. She needs to filter through them then and let Patrick and I know what we're doing. Just as we did this, someone needs to be the clearinghouse. I don't want to decide that a comment is in or not on behalf of everyone.
Right, so if I get them to me the same way we've been talking, page such and such, this section, then I can make note and get them to Judy and Patrick. Certainly I'll go over them with Steph before we send things in and so we can get the draft keep moving forward. And the sooner that you can get them into me, the better. Jen, if you have anything else, just give me a shout if you need to, and we'll talk. Judy, on page 94.
Wait,
Under
hang on, before we do that.
Bye, guys.
Okay,
Hang
bye,
on,
Karen.
well, 1 second. Do we want to set a date for when those comments should come to Karen and when Karen will get them to Patrick and me so we can have some sort of timeline?
Sure. I mean, I think most people have read and seem to have identified their comments. So what's today, Wednesday? Do you want the weekend to get them to me? Have them to me by Monday? Okay, I see thumbs up. Okay,
That'd
Okay,
be Monday, the 28th, right?
okay.
yes.
And then Karen, when will you go through them and get them to Patrick and me?
I'll block out, I'll close my door and turn off the lights and hide away to review them and see if there's duplications and then get them to you by the end of the week
So that'd be the 2nd?
at the latest, yeah.
Okay, that works. I just wanted to make sure we had a timeline. I'm big on
I do too, because I
staying
wanna-
on some semblance of a schedule.
and,
All right.
So
Thank
Okay.
you.
everybody's
Thanks,
And then
covered.
everybody.
Judy, once you
Thank
have,
you.
how long will
Bye.
it take you guys to like update?
Based on what we have so far, not that long. I need to see what else is coming in.
Okay.
Well, and you get the brunt of it. We'll talk about the big part on Friday, Judy,
Okay.
which is the maintenance.
All right. Thank you, Jen.
All right.
Thank you.
Goodbye, everyone. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
All right. You still had more announced. Karen, you said
Judy,
94.
I just have one because I'm going to lose it and forget it on page 94.
Hang on. Let me get to 94. Okay. So that's in chapter 5. Go ahead.
Park and Rec professionals,
Mm-hmm.
CPRP, CPSI, CPP.
Do that again.
CPRP, CPSI, CPP.
CPP.
Mhm.
Okay. You got that, Patrick? That's in chapter
And
5.
I'm actually unfamiliar. What's CPP?
Certified
no idea.
Program Planner.
Okay.
The learn through
One.
learn.
Do you have CPRA? Do you want that in there?
I don't yet. I'm debating whether I want to muddle through that. Did you do it?
I didn't do it yet. I mean, not quite at that
Yeah.
level yet. But do you want me to put that in there as well?
What's that?
Or I guess you don't have it, so there's no.
I don't have it, so.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
I'm good for now. So I think we've
How about Deb? Deb, do you have things on your list that we haven't addressed yet? Unmute.
You're
Sorry.
on mute.
No, you've pretty much hit a few things that I had on my list.
Okay.
I must have duplicated what someone else saw.
All right, good. That means that you're all looking at similar things
All right.
and that was dressed.
It seems to be pretty similar. Under the park diagrams at the end, do you want to put the new map in?
Yeah, I
Judy?
just saw that the soccer fields need to be changed to athletic fields on Central Park. I just saw
Yeah.
that. Hang on. Let me turn to that. I want to keep the appendix separate. There we go. Are you okay if I just change them to athletic field, the 3 soccer fields?
Mhm.
Okay. And what else did you have that in the diagrams?
Oh, the one that we just did, the map we just did, the park system map. Or do we not want to put that in here?
Oh, you want that? Okay, that's fine. We'll add the park system map.
On the tennis courts where it says tennis and tennis, I might be so daring as to say tennis and pickleball, because as soon as those trailers come off and they get resurfaced, and that would be where the pickleball would be going.
Which one is pickleball, left or right?
If I'm looking out my window at it, it would be the right. It would be the two courts.
I'm looking at the one as I look at the map and have the,
Okay,
and
the one on the basketball, on the one on the right.
the one on the right.
Right, so as you,
So it's the one closest to the municipal
Municipal.
complex.
correct.
All right, so that changed to pickleball?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the golf link can come out.
Is that officially gone?
It's officially gone.
Okay.
But you could take that little section and kind of drop in the disc golf, which is coming.
But it's not there now, right?
No. But neither's pickleball, but it's coming. I'm looking at the 10-year
Well,
ride.
do you want that to say disc golf there or not?
We can hold off. Let's see if we know what we're gonna do, but let's see if the Eagle Scout comes through.
Comes through.
I think he
yeah.
will.
Okay. All right, what else did you have for me?
I'm gonna stop there because I think everybody's reached, I guess the big thing that might tie with social, not necessarily social media marketing, brand identity. They're the big words we're using right now. So we've got, we're trying to increase our marketing and our brand identity.
Okay. When I add this social media recommendation, I can include verbiage for that as well.
Okay. I don't want to put much more work on you guys. I think this is really great thinking. And Judy, what do we decide about pictures? You want me to pull pictures, or are we going to drop pictures out of here so we don't have to, or do you want some?
It was up to you if you wanted to put new pictures in. I took all of the old ones out because they were dated.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Some of the ones, and some of them are just still good. Some of them are borrow pictures. I would let's just leave the ones at the top of the chapters and I'll come up with pictures.
Okay, that's fine. And you'll
Just
just
adds a
come
little
up with
bit of-
ones to replace in the bands?
Right.
Okay,
And some of them might still be old. They might still be old pictures, but valid pictures.
yeah, the ones at the top were more the timeless ones, but a couple of them, you can decide, since they're little vignettes, you can decide which ones you want.
Okay. Like a plan.
All right,
The pictures on the front, can we do you have the ability to round those edges just to make it a little softer?
sure, we just took these in from your website. You want them
Yeah.
rounded?
I'm fine with them. I just think if we round them off, it just makes it a little softer.
Okay.
You know me, I'm very visual with this stuff.
So round edges, just the four outer corners or all of the corners?
Just the four outer, all of, I'd probably say all four.
So when I look at, so it'd be the top left corner of the green, the top right corner of the blue, bottom right of the gold, and bottom left of the reddish?
We could try that, yeah.
Okay,
You want me to run down the acknowledgements since we're on the phone?
sure. Hang on, let me just turn to that page. Go for it.
Okay, under supervisors are good. Correct me if I'm wrong, Stephanie, that looks like the right order.
Hold on, I don't know. Was looking at something else. What page are you on? Table of
The
contents.
acknowledgements, just turn the cover page.
Yes, Board of Supervisors is fine. Except I think it's Nancy and then Dan is,
This was the order from the website, is that?
okay, that's
Let me
fine.
just pull it up and say, let me,
Is this Nancy, the last one on? Oh, it has to go by,
it's the term, isn't it?
No,
There's
because they
Gary.
both have the same term. It's who got sworn in first.
votes.
Oh. Let me just see what it had.
Oh, well, they're looking that up. Deb, I was talking to some of our guys about during the winter project, maybe we can get, if we have to take, if and when we have to take trees down, or some of the ash trees, to save some of our trees by making the cube pieces.
Ooh, good idea. Good
It'd be
use
very
of
green.
resources.
It'd be very green, because it'd be a living memory.
Yes.
That's the order on the website.
Mhm.
Do you want to, if it changes, let me know. I mean, if,
I think it's fine. You know,
Okay.
it's just, you know what it is? It's also like people were in spaces, Judy, and sometimes on they don't move it around because it's the space. And so
all
yeah.
right, so if you
so
want
like
to
a
change that
blank
order,
space, it's easier to like just fill the blank space in with a new name.
oh,
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna
So-
leave that one to you to confirm, Steph.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want that one hanging on my head.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
then the next one, down the committee, Deb,
mm-hmm.
let's just put them in alphabetical order since there's no hierarchy there.
Okay, and again, that was just from the website, but you just alphabetical order.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
With you and Jen still at the bottom though?
Yeah, mm-hmm.
Okay.
And with liaison, it doesn't really say what she's a liaison from, although you'd look at the top and realize.
Oh, that's true. Board of BOS liaison.
Yeah, and she should come before Karen, no offense.
That's fine. Again, this was just from the website.
But the other ones could be alphabetical, that would be good.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I got enough. I got enough trouble with the one at the top. But then there's no bias when we do it that way,
Mm-hmm.
or no perception is really the key
That works.
Mm-hmm.
of bias.
No order from me. I just took them the way they
Yep.
were. So I knowing that you might want to
Yeah,
change them.
well, that tells us that maybe we need to do some editing on the website. Okay, the Park and Rec Board. Kathy Brown, Chairman. Paul Danella, Vice Chairman.
Chairman or chairperson? Can I leave chairperson?
Chairperson, you can leave person.
Okay.
Kelly McGowan, Secretary.
And Barbara Lyons does not, go back to the top then, Barbara Lyons does not refer to herself as chairperson, it's chairman.
Okay.
And same thing with vice chair, and I would be consistent, so I would
So they
change
should all be
Kathy.
chairman.
I
Okay.
would change that to chairman.
I'd make them consistent in all of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where'd we drop? Kelly McGowan, you got her, Secretary.
Yeah.
And then we'll go in order of appointment to the board, which will be John Bray.
Hang on. So
Blythe?
then, hang on. So 1, 2, 3. John Bray is 4. Go ahead.
Blythe,
Blythe is 5. Okay.
Marianne,
6,
Kevin.
7. Okay.
Yeah, Kelly moved up because she's secretary.
Right.
And then I would do Ryan Mannion, B of
And then
S
Karen.
liaison, and then
BOS.
Karen.
Okay. Yeah, I did little arrows to switch them.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on 1 second. Let me just go to the Park and Rec Board.
So can you
We
put
should-
me Director of Park and Rec on both of them? Or
Right,
does the bottom, does Park and Rec say staff?
I just took it exactly word for word
Right.
from the red website. I'm looking at it now. Year
Well, I
before Karen, year before Ryan. You might want to change on the website. And you're just
Yeah.
listed as staff. Do you want to be Director of Parks and Recreation?
Yeah. I just want to be consistent. I can be
I'm fine.
staff either way, Park and Rec, I don't care.
It'll have your title.
I'm secure enough in,
But I'm
Yeah,
just
but-
saying you might want to update the website then too, Karen.
yep. You know, you can put me down as yo, hey you.
Okay. Anything else for edits for now?
No. When did we hit them all? 25, 37, 39. Nope, I'm good. Like, the more you read it, the more you can come up with stuff, but I think as long as we get it down to where we have a living document, I think so.
Judy, under municipal administration, do you need to say like Doylestown Township, like Doylestown Township Director of Parks and or just Karen Sweeney, Director of Parks and Recreation? And same for me, like
Yeah,
Township Manager. Do we need to add Doylestown in there again?
because it's not joint. It's not
We
joint
don't-
anymore.
We don't
Just-
need to add Doylestown. We should just have you as Township Manager. Is that okay, Stephanie?
Yeah, and then Karen's title and doesn't need
Yeah.
to be Doylestown. I think that's probably left over from last time.
Yeah, it probably
We were,
is.
we were specifying the municipalities.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
On the other page where it says prepared for Doylestown Township Park and Recreation Consultant Patrick Graham, they're different fonts and different sizes. So they might be the same font, but they're different sizes.
The title or the actual wording? The Parks and
wording.
Recreation, the Parks and Recreation Consultant and Planning Consultant are the same font, exactly.
Okay, but if you look up above, Doylestown Township is much larger than Patrick Graham.
Oh, I thought you were looking at the title. You're looking at the text. Yeah, dual
The
consultant
text,
was just in there. You want
Yeah.
that, you want that to match too?
Yeah,
That's fine. We always have the client larger than than us as consultants, but I'm okay
Yeah.
with that.
just
Yeah.
looks
Judy, are
unbalanced.
you putting your name in or no?
The
That's what
planning
I am.
consultant, I always do the company name, not individually. Do you want my name individually? I can do that. It's up
Yeah, I
to
mean,
you.
if Patrick's name's gonna be there, your name
Yeah, I
should be
think
there.
it's good.
Well, Patrick was there because he was a separate consultant and that he doesn't have a separate company name.
No, I understand.
But I
Okay,
think it's nice to say who our consultant was. I mean,
Yeah.
we know
Okay.
it's Gilmore, but I think you've traveled with us through,
that's fine.
you're the consistent piece.
That's fine. I'm just,
I also don't want to have to go back to Mark and say, well, what happened to Boucher and James? It's just Judy.
okay. I will
I
add
don't
that
think-
in.
He may not ask, but he's pretty much he's a stickler.
I will add that in.
I think we're good. I mean, Judy, Pat, do you think we need to have another meeting? I think, I'm getting the feel that they would like it, but
Well, Karen, you
I-
need
it
them to
just
make a
gets long.
recommendation and they didn't do that today.
no.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we need to move forward because we kind of said, send us your stuff. We'll get you the draft.
I don't know how we have them make a formal recommendation without a Zoom meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just being a
Very
stickler.
good. Then fine, let's put it on the calendar right now because I'd rather have it scheduled. I know Deb likes to be scheduled. All right, so now we have the 28th is all comments to me. The 2nd is to Judy.
Comments to us.
The draft completion is
I mean, if we have the comments, you said we get the comments by the 2nd.
Right.
You know, I don't
Is that
imagine.
realistic or is it more like the 5th? I mean, Karen, if you send the committee a email
I'm sending-
today
I'm-
that says, thanks for your time today, please have all your comments emailed to me no later than close of business on the 28th.
yeah, and then
And
I
you're
got
gonna be referring them to Judy. My guess is you're gonna, probably really not get them to Judy until the 5th.
well, I'm gonna try to get them out by end of day on the 2nd.
I know, but I'm
Yeah.
giving you to the 5th, just in case.
Okay, well,
I'm being realistic. Stuff happens.
it is
you know what I
really, yeah,
mean?
well, and stuff's been happening a lot.
Well, and that's just it. So, let's
Right.
be more realistic than idealistic.
Okay,
So let's say they're to Judy by the 5th. They need to be to Judy by the 5th.
Judy and
In
Pat, yeah.
that case, I think we could say, Patrick, that we would have something by close of business on the 23rd. Does that work?
Yeah.
October. That's revised draft.
And we'll get that to you, Karen, by close of business on the 23rd. So you
Okay.
probably won't
But
be
then it's
distributing it
likely-
till the 26th.
Right, 26 distribution to committee.
And then they could all review it and have a Zoom on the 2nd. Give them a week,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
On the
Yeah.
26th.
Either the 2nd or the 5th.
I would say the 5th only because with it being the day before election day. I don't-
Election, I know.
Yeah, hang on a second, because there's a date in here that's gonna conflict. Let me get open here.
Because I want to get it on the Board of Supervisors meeting for the 17th, Judy.
Right, which is why I was being conscious of this. So if the recommendation comes through on the 5th, it can go to the board.
Yep.
Right then.
Yeah,
Okay,
and you'll have a week to write up make copies or scan and send out to the board because it's, thick, kind of thing.
We'll probably have you with a Dropbox link, and then
Yeah,
Margaret or Jackie can put that into your OneDrive.
Okay,
Got
so
it.
the 23rd. So staff, no, I think we're okay. I am out of town the 19th to the 23rd. The 23rd, I get the revised draft, but I'm sending it out on the 26th, which works fine.
Yep.
Or no.
You
I'm
send it
back
out
in-
on the 26th and ask them to have a quick meeting.
I'm in on the 27th, so the 27th it will go out.
Okay, that's fine. And then we'll have a meeting on the 5th of November.
Okay,
Um,
so we're November 5th.
like November 5th is what we're talking, guys?
Right. And then November 7th, I will pencil in, and Patrick will too, for the board meeting.
No, not the 7th.
I mean, 17th. 17th.
I'm not coming on a Saturday.
No, but thank you.
Yeah, 17th.
I would if you told me to.
Yeah, I know. 17th.
And that's, is that a 7 o'clock, Steph?
That is a 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So Zoom meeting on the 5th, should we set up a time now?
Yes.
Deb, since you're on the call, do you have any constraints on November 5th?
As of this point, no, that's a little far in advance for me to have a constraint.
And I am looking good on the 5th right now, Karen. So Patrick, do you have any constraints on the 5th?
Not that I can tell at this time, no. Should be
That's
good.
the only day that week that I do not have any constraints. I just have to say that out loud and knock
Okay.
wood.
Can we
November
do,
5th, what time you planning?
I'm saying 10.
That works.
That works.
10 a.m.
Is 10 a.m. good?
November
I know
5th,
Bill
10
liked it
a.m.
earlier.
Hmm?
I know Bill wanted it as early as possible before. Is 10 the earliest you can do, or are other members not good later?
We can go, we can go at 9.
Mine's good.
9 a.m., November 5th. Okay, pros, November
Zoom.
5th at 9 a.m., 2 hours.
I don't think we should need 2 hours for that one.
Well, I always give ourselves 2 hours,
Okay.
We'll cheer everybody when we end earlier. And Judy, I'm going to meet you on Friday after staff meeting.
Yes. Let me just make sure. I don't have anything else after that. Let me
What
just
day
make
is
sure.
Friday? October, September. I've lost track
25th.
of where we are. The 25th. So, Steph, when you feel like we're getting close to the end of the staff meeting,
Yeah.
would you just shoot me a quick text? I'm going to let Chris know.
It'll be about 10 o'clock
You
because
think?
Jeff and I have to jump on a call at 10 for the closing.
Oh, that's perfect.
So, on the
Okay.
loan, so Judy will be
So I'm
done
gonna put
somewhere close to
10.
10.
I'm going to put 10 a.m.
That's perfect, Stephanie. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, then I will tell, and I'll tell
Please.
Chris so that he has his opportunity to speak freely. And in the interim, I'm going to go over this, going to meet with Dave, and we're going to kind of get buckets.
You know what? And then if Dave's around, I could meet with him and Chris about basin naturalization in pairs too.
After.
Fabulous. Just move in for the day, Judy.
I'll bring my sleeping bag.
Mhm.
So I'm going to say that
Yeah.
we should be able to do what we're going to do in an hour.
Hmm.
Because I want to expedite. I want to push through, and then you and Chris, then you can go to Dave and Chris.
Okay.
Okay, Karen, I set up your Zoom. I'm sending a copy of it to you, Judy, and Margaret. That way then you can instruct Margaret what to do later.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Yep. Did you put Patrick on there?
No, I didn't have Patrick's. He didn't come up in my email. Sorry, Patrick.
That's okay.
But you know other people here who will take care of you.
Yes.
They will
I
not
will-
neglect you.
I will forward that immediately to Patrick upon receipt, because Patrick and I are good at emailing.
Yes.
Okay. And Deb, you will have it by email from me.
I have no worries about this, Karen.
What else? Anything else for the good of the cause?
No, I think we're good.
And I'm gonna let people know that I want to appreciate all their hard work and their efforts in the review. We've narrowed it down to a hard schedule for the balance of the work. And I think Ann did very well today.
I think everyone did very well today.
Yeah. Well, I think it made a difference. People had, I mean, they were talking, they kind of read a little further, got a little further, and
Okay. All right. So we're actually good at the moment, right?
yeah.
All
Judy,
right.
it's one thing for you to think about, because we talked about the, if you don't mind, we talked about the master planning for the parks, and we got a ballpark number for that,
Mm-hmm.
which is a recommendation. We need a ballpark number for if we were going to do not a high end, but a general maintenance management plan.
Maintenance management plan.
Because then we'd have all the components of a park system in place to work from as a guide.
All right, I'm gonna have to think about that one, Karen.
Okay, and then we can talk further about what's in my mind. It's like, not real high end, but enough to be a functional tool.
Yeah, we did one for Lower Saucon Township for Poke Valley Park, and they extrapolated that then and expanded it to like township wide for their parks, which wasn't as expensive. And that was 15,000, but we were going into sort of, pest management system and stuff, and using more natural systems for their management. It was more of a naturalized area. There was a couple active fields. That ended up being 15. I'm not thinking you're looking for something to that level though.
No, I'm thinking just kind of some text layout, kind of what it is, how it works, hierarchies, how that all comes together. Seasonal, what's the seasonal maintenance what's the turf, what's the field maintenance in this, spring, summer, fall, just a checklist. I have some samples, some ideas, which we can talk about.
Yeah, if you share that information with me, and Patrick, if you have thoughts too, shoot something over to us if you have thoughts. I don't know, has Middletown done that?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch it.
A park maintenance plan overall.
Not that I'm aware of, but we have to update our comprehensive plan for our department first and foremost. It's about 15 years old, so we haven't done anything like that I'm aware of.
Okay, Karen, if you have samples, then show me when I see you Friday, and we can come up with some costs for you and keep the cost down.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thanks for hanging in there, Deb, and Stephanie and Karen and Patrick. It was long but useful. I appreciate it.
Yep, and it was very productive, I thought. So
yeah.
I appreciate every time over.
All right. Go get lunch, everyone.
All righty.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Take care.
Bye. Thank you.